Mi gente, I've got the perfect freebie for you. So I just dropped a 17-page workbook to help you get your mind right, especially in this climate of so much uncertainty. So if you are an aspiring or current entrepreneur and you're just feeling stuck, you're not feeling too good about what the future holds, and all the turmoil, the politics, all of it is just throwing you off your game, this workbook is actually going to act as a journal for you. It covers goal setting, efficiency tips, how to manage your time, financial management tips, strategies on how to wrap your head around the next big thing that's coming down the pipeline to bring you consistent revenue in your business. It covers what you should be doubling down on in terms of your well-being. And it is just my favorite jam-packed journal full of marketing and sales strategy to help you get clarity, but most importantly, to help you secure the big bag. So make sure to tap on the link in the show notes. I've linked it there so that you guys can get really clear on the top hacks that you can put into play to set yourself up for success. I hope you love it.
You have to be able and be willing to be vulnerable enough to potentially fail.
It's worth it. There is nothing like truly living in your skin and being really comfortable. I don't know if they are ready.
I don't know they're ready. So are we talking personal bochinche?
Up to you.
Business bochinche?
Up to you.
I got phone calls that my special, The Floor is Lava, was on like United Airlines flights. My homegirl loves to say, she always says, two things can be true at once. I can tell you acting out of pocket and still support your projects.
Zoe Saldańa.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the backlash that she is receiving right now? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Banking on Cultura. I am your host, Victoria Jenn Rodriguez. And you know, on this show, we talk about all things Latinidad, the complexity, the vibrancy, entrepreneurship, and of course, all the bonchinche in between. And today's guest is actually the perfect guest to talk some bonchinche, to laugh, to get educated. And this is going to be a very lively... What is the best way to describe this episode? Because I don't know if they're ready. I don't know if they are ready.
I don't know if they're ready.
To meet the one and only Gina Brillon.
Yes. Very, very well pronounced.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Pronounced.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to have you on Banking on Cultura because you are such a badass.
Thank you, love. As are you.
Thank you.
Real, recognized, real.
Period. Fellow Boricua.
Hey.
One of the top Latina comedians in the world.
Thank you so much.
And are just living out your dreams in like real time and doing it scared, doing it your way on your terms, which is bold as hell and amazing and what we truly like to represent here on the show. So I'm excited for the audience to get to know you, to learn from you, and to just feel this energy that's about to go down.
Yes.
So Gina
is
a comedian, an actor, an author, and raised in the boogie-down Bronx.
That's right. BX, baby.
Period. And she's got specials all around town. You got an amazing special on Amazon Prime. You have your latest special that we're going to get into and all that jazz. But first, we like to start with... Actually, you know what? Should we let the people know how we met first?
I think that's always a good place to start.
Okay. So we met, and a couple of my guests, this is how we met because it's just such a dope, amazing network of people. We met in Napa.
Yes, sweet.
In California, sipping on some wine.
I was not sipping. I was watching others sip.
Oh.
I'm a very plant-based person. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But it was one of those atmospheres where you really get to connect with people and meet them on a human level and get to know them in a very genuine way, which is how I got to get to know you.
Yes.
And are you going again this year? Are you going?
I believe I am.
I hope so.
I believe I am. I have to talk to Sir Richard.
Sir Richard. Yes,
well,
shout out to the Hive.
Yes, shout out to the Hive because I've met incredible people, yourself included, at the Hive. And I just remember meeting you and being like, oh, when energy matches energy.
Yeah, same.
It's like magnetic.
Totally.
Like I was like, let's just bug out together and have a blast. And I feel like we had really just connected. So I'm so happy to have stayed in contact with you.
Me too.
Because you're an inspiring person.
So are you, baby. And listen, fellow New Yorker.
Yep.
Fellow Boricua. Fellow hermana.
You know.
We got to stay in contact. We got to
Absolutely.
support each
and
other.
big up each other.
Exactly. That's how it
support
gets
each other's
done.
projects. Like that's how we elevate each other.
Yes. And I wish more of the community understood how critical that actually is.
Yes. Instead of highly criticizing each other, if we can actually support one another, we can always keep it real. Like I feel like it's a very family relationship entre nos, like with our communities. It's
Absolutely.
very family. So it's like I'll tell you if I feel like, you know, something's not right, something ain't adding up. But I can also support you, you know. My homegirl loves to say this. She always says, two things can be true at once. I can tell you acting out of pocket and still support your projects.
Yes.
You know what I
and
mean?
isn't that what real friends are supposed to
Absolutely.
do anyway? Then people that really love you, they should be able to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And be like, let's get it together. You're looking crazy out here. Or that was inappropriate. Like, you need to apologize.
Or you're looking a little tone deaf
Right.
and maybe you should step back.
Exactly.
Examine your behavior and things you're saying.
Totally.
But
Or
I love you. Glad you're doing good.
Exactly.
You know
or you're
what I
looking
mean?
a hot mess. Let's wrap this up.
Come on now. I'm gonna help
Let's
you out
do
here.
something.
You know what I mean?
Like, you can still support and love and what do they call that? And give feedback that is
like helpful, constructive.
Right, constructive. That's the word that I was looking for. Right, constructive feedback. And I would love to see more of that in the community. But let's get into what's up on Chinche. Talk to us. Tell us, give us some tea.
Give me the tea. What tea you want? Because I got so much tea. I'm a tea shop. I'm the Boston Tea Party. I'm full of tea, bro.
Okay. Well,
I got tea all day, every day.
Tea that is steamy, pero soothes the throat.
Steamy, but soothes. I like that.
Yeah, give us that kind of tea.
But soothes the throat. That's the kind of tea. You need to do commercials for tea.
Right?
Steamy, but soothes the throat.
Commercials for tea or commercials for,
For bochinche.
Some gadgets that can help.
For some gadgets.
Yes.
That could
Catch
maybe
my
be of
drift.
assistance.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but give us some bochinche.
Okay, so are we talking personal bochinche?
Up to you.
Business bochinche?
Up to you.
Ooh, child. Okay. Here's the bochinche that I think we should really talk about, being two women working in the entertainment industry, essentially.
Yes.
Here's the tea I'm getting from a lot of my friends that work in digital. A lot of them have co-signed this.
Okay.
That we as a society seem to be moving away from celebrity worship and into a place of authenticity. So now people have been wondering for a long time, like, oh, why are influencers like taking over? And, I've had a lot of talks with influencers and I worked with influencers. And a lot of it is because people are really sick of celebrity worship. It's like this, the younger generations of people are seeing through a lot of the BS that I think we've glorified for the longest time, including tabloid stories, including treating celebrities like they're not people. All of that stuff seems to be kind of fading away from what my peeps is saying. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, tell me.
I agree.
Okay.
I think there is a delicate balance, though, because you see the cancel culture that exists, and you see what happens when people use their authenticity and it becomes highly controversial. It could work for you
or
it could work
you.
Against you. So it's kind of like, I think about this. I think a lot about like, how authentic do I really want to be? And how much do I really want to share and be vulnerable about so that it's not weaponized against me later on, but still stay true to myself. And that's the era that I'm in, trying to like manage that and like figure out like, okay. And also coming from a corporate background, understanding how that game is played, understanding that I have corporate clients, understanding that there's still an old-fashioned way of doing business. People will still judge you, etc. But honey, if you got that audience and you got the attention, that is the currency, baby.
In the words of the prophet Kendrick Lamar, you can't fake influence. So that is something you just,
Right.
it's a word. Like, if you have the people, you have the power, essentially.
Yes.
You have the control. But I get what you're saying, because I think there is a fine line between letting too much of who you are out to the public, because some things should be kept private. Like, I've always respected the celebrities that kept like their love lives private, or kept their private life exactly that, private. And then the people who you saw all their messiness, you were like, oh, this is not really our business. Mm-hmm. But now that it's out in the public, you now have to deal with public opinion about your private matters.
Right.
So there's a fine line between the authenticity that I think is okay to show to everybody, meaning I am who I am, and no one, your opinion is going to know. Your opinion, that's not going to change who I am.
Right.
But I can be open to listening to you, but this is the authentic me. Mm-hmm. This is the me you get. Right. And sometimes, that means you may misstep. You may say something out of pocket. You may say something that you didn't really think out. I think there has to be an understanding and more of an empathy, to an extent, and compassion for humanity and for the fact that humans are flawed. Mm-hmm. We are flawed. You catch me in the wrong moment, I might say the most spiciest thing you ever heard me say.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You catch me in the wrong mental state. And that's, I think, when it's almost like in those moments, that's when you got to be like, okay, camera's off. I need to reassess, because I was too angry when I said that. I was too sad when I said that. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes some of y'all need to shut down your Twitter accounts before you get to tweeting. I think you know who I'm talking to.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like this fine line. Like, how do we truly step into our authenticity in a way that is true to ourselves, that is relatable, that is going to land with people, but you're also not completely losing yourself in the process, or even sharing the best parts of yourself that like the world doesn't need to know. So I struggle with that. I go back and forth with that like all the time. I'll give you a great example of on my way here. I had someone comment on a previous episode that I had, and a guest was dressed chill. And of course, it was a man. But I know women are thinking this too. And he said, so is there a standard like there is in the workplace for how people dress on podcasts?
Let me say something real quick.
That's what he said.
I'm going to talk to the camera right now. Mind your business. Mind some of y'all walking in the street looking first day homeless. So mind your bit. If somebody got it together and sat in front of a camera,
get more than you expect with the $5 meal deal, part of New McValue. 5 gets you a McDouble or McChicken and a small fry and a small drink and a 4-piece McNuggets. Woo! New McValue at McDonald's. Prices of participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for limited time only.
Mind your business. But is that the reason why your latest special is called Mind Your Business?
yes. Because some of y'all really need to mind your ever-loving business.
But I share that because I was thinking earlier when I was getting dressed today, and I was like, wow, like I'm here in my little hoodie. I got my hoops. I got the Latina hairdo.
You got
like,
that's Latina 101
this is
hairdo.
straight Latina
but
101.
It never fails. But it never fails.
And they wish.
They wish it would. They wish it would.
They wish they could.
Exactly. It's like you wish you could pull it off. You don't got the face for this.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, I feel so interesting to be at this crossroads where I have these different layers to me, right? Where I can dress like this, where I'm on my show, on my podcast, in my element, in the heart of my city, New York City. And I'm Boricua, and this is a show that's based on Latinos. And also, I can still speak intelligently and drop game, rocking my big-ass hoops and having my hair tied back and having my curls out in my hoodie. But people will still judge you off of that.
100%.
Right? So again, this thin line between authenticity and also the way that people expect you to be packaged and looked and presented in a public setting. So all of us need to decide how we want to show up and if we're going to do it our way and on our terms, which you have been able to do in a very, for me at least, admirable way, because I see you in action and I study you and I'm like, wow, I know that it's hard. I know that. But you are just so unapologetically you. And I think there's just so much freedom that comes along with you deciding, I'm going to wear my big ass hoops, my hoodie, pin back my hair, and look so New York Boricua. And not give a damn, right?
The days that I put my hair back in a ponytail, it's like, don't start none with this chick. Though the hair's in a ponytail, she's already ready to go. I think that when people say that, first of all, it's like the highest compliment. So thank you. It's so funny because ever since I started comedy, but really my whole life, people have always kind of said that about me. And I think there was a part of me that was like, there's another way I could be. Like, I think there was a part of me that was like, I didn't realize I could be something else. I only know how to be me. I don't think I was ever good at, what people, a term that now gets used a lot, masking. I don't think I was very used to masking in every situation. I think I knew when I had to protect myself and was like, oh, this don't feel right. Or at least know that situations I needed to walk away from, because I was like, oh, y'all aren't listening to me, respecting me, or letting me be myself. So why am I in this space? And right. I learned how to sort of weigh the pros and cons. I think a little bit of, is it beneficial for me to even be in this space? Why am I in this space if I feel constricted or confined, like I can't be myself? Mm-hmm. Because I think what happens, and we've seen this with a lot of artists. We've seen this with a lot of artists when they first come out. They're heavily controlled by whatever machine they're in. And then when they break out of that machine, usually it's like, oh, they drop their first label, fire their manager, or they get dropped from their label, or they get fired from someplace. And now they're actually free to sort of just be. I mean, we start with artists like Pink, even with artists like Christina Aguilera, Kelly Clarkson, and music is the biggest way for me to kind of show that, because you see it in other ways too, but that's the best example, is how you can see how an artist can change, how a creative, to put it in terms that's a little more inclusive, a creative can change into who they really are, or really not even change into who they really are, but allow themselves to be who they really are. Because there's no longer the powers that be kind of controlling them. Mm-hmm. And for us, those powers that be could be everything from cultural stereotypes to beliefs of how women should act and dress and be, to business, corporate, the control in that environment. So there's a lot of factors or a lot of hurdles to get over in order to become your authentic self.
And be free,
yeah.
Essentially. What I can say to that is, it's fucking worth it. It's worth it. There is nothing like truly living in your skin and being really comfortable.
Yes, and I've had conversations about this with friends before. I'm the kind of person, I don't have a lot of regrets. But the moments that I do regret are always moments where I felt like I wasn't really allowed to be myself in that moment. Or I held back, or I didn't listen to my intuition. Those moments I regret. But a lot of moments in life, even if a situation did not work out the way I wanted it to, I don't regret that situation or what happened, because it led me to where I am today. And if I'm happy with where I am today, then why would I regret the journey that brought me here?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think those scars that we get on the journey are worth it. And those moments where we feel like, is it really worth it? Like, do I really want to operate in my truth, or do I want to collect this check and suck it up for right now? Yeah. Right. All of that really makes you who you are. One of the things that I really love about comedians is I feel like you guys have a profession where you are able to truly be you. and monetize that. And people expect comedians to like say the things we wouldn't ever say. And
some people do.
yes.
Some people would rather you not say the things.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Of course, because there's the other side of that where people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
Or people just getting angry or getting angry for other people.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, we saw that with Dave Chappelle.
Like people can get angry for other people. I think I've heard this term used. I don't know if it's the right term, but third party offended, where somebody's like, I'm offended for the group of people you're talking about. And there's a part of like, how do I handle this situation? Because it's not you and they didn't ask you to advocate for them. Glad you're being an ally, but now I don't know how to navigate around this situation. Do I apologize to you or the group, or how do you work this? Because what cancel culture became was kind of comedy's HR department, because it started to check an industry that had never been checked before. You know what I mean? And if HR serves the company, then who's the company? The people. So when all the cancel culture stuff started happening, I remember having the same reaction that a lot of comedians did. It was like, you will not silence me. But that really wasn't the point. The point, I think, was, hey, there's a lot of stuff that maybe you should let go of that's just not hitting like it used to anymore. Whether that's due to new sensitivities or new knowledge, it brought up the question, was the stuff ever funny or were we laughing out of shock? And that, for a comedian, can go either way. You can either go, well, screw it then. I'm going to say whatever I want and I'm going to just be in your face. And I respect that. Or you can go, I'm more the kind of person that's, I can be a little smart ass. So there's a part of me that was like, well, what can I say?
What is your process now when you're writing for like your specials? Like, are you considering like, will this get me canceled?
No, because I think I write with the idea of, let's play with this, with a curiosity and a playfulness. So it's like, let's play with this. And I'm very, the obvious things that like, I'm like, oh, well, that will definitely not even, and it's not so much about being canceled. It's like, well, people miss the point because of the words I'm using. What is the overall point I'm trying to make? And how can I use the words to lead them there instead of cutting them off before they actually get to the point, because I've decided I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, which is fine, but you run the risk of losing. Somebody might have a great bit, and if they started off the wrong way and they're using the wrong language and they're pressing too hard on the accelerator, now you've lost the beauty of what you were trying to say. And I'm such a lover of stand-up comedy and a student of comedy that I'm like, oh, you had such a great point that everybody missed because of how you phrased it. Because you were so adamant on being in people's faces that you lost sight of what the real goal was.
How is that process though? Because
I will write it out and I'll be like, okay, now it's time to edit it. Now it's time to look at it, do it on stage, kind of freeform it and see what people react to. Then
so
go
is that
back.
How you normally test? Like you go and you test it out in the market? Like
it has to be tested out. If you're writing something, and there's certain things that I'm like, I haven't really clarified what I want out of this yet. So that I have to work on that more. But the stuff that I bring to the stage is stuff that I'm like, this is what I'm excited to work on now. These are the things that I'm excited to talk about, that I want to unpack with a room full of strangers and see if they're catching the same vibe, So do you have to like schedule the time that you write? Not always, although I do think that it's great to write first thing in the morning if you have the ability. Like, just because, throughout your day, your mind gets flooded with so much info. And there's so much to do and life happens. But the first couple of hours of the morning, if you have a chance to take that for yourself, like this morning, I think I woke up around 6:30. My son was still asleep. I did some stretches, some yoga, did some writing, did some meditating. And it's just an undisturbed time. There's not a lot of noise. There's not a lot of the world that's up yet. And so I like to take that time to kind of write, but also I'll zone out. But I think the later on in the day, I have to clear my mind before I get ready to write.
These are really good takeaways for entrepreneurs. One is get your creative juices flowing in the morning. Get it out of your head in the morning.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that is a great strategy. But to follow up with that is you have to test out your ideas. You have to test out your material. So many entrepreneurs will not post the thing on social media or not publish on their website or not sell the thing because they're so afraid of the reaction, or maybe they won't get any reaction at all.
100%.
And so they just choose not to do it. And there's no other way around it. Like, that's how you test the marketplace. You have to put yourself out there. You have to test it. Has there ever been a time where you bombed on stage?
Absolutely. Several times. It's par for the course. You can't, you're taking a chance every time you step on stage. Every time you step on stage, there's a chance you could bomb, even if the audience is the best audience of your life. You could say one wrong thing and turn a room and not be able to get it back. So I can't even count how many times I've bombed on stage.
So what is your advice for someone who bombed on stage or just bombed, period, in pursuing their goals? Like, how do you recover?
The first thing I would always say is let yourself feel your feelings. It's disappointing. Something didn't work out. You know, your set was bad. Maybe the audience just wasn't pleased. Maybe they were in a hot room. Maybe every person on the mic upset them that night. You don't know. You can't internalize too much of it. And after a while, you start to realize when the problem was you and when the problem was the audience. And on those nights when it's been me, I had to have some hard conversations with myself. Like, what could you have done differently? How could you have prepared better for this? Did you even prepare at all for this? Did you think everything was going to be good and gravy because you were really in your ego? And so you did not prepare, and look what happened. And those are conversations. Like, the hardest thing I think is self-awareness, because self-awareness is not surface level. Self-awareness is being able to really check yourself, hold yourself accountable, and see some of the ugliest and uncomfortable parts of yourself and go, that's something I really got to work on if I want to be the happiest me, achieve the most that I can. But with that, you have to be able and be willing to be vulnerable enough to potentially fail. Failure and success are hand in hand.
Yes. I wish more entrepreneurs understood that. Aspiring entrepreneurs understood that, because it's inevitable. And you actually want to fail. You want to fail a lot. Because by you failing a lot, you're going to learn so much. You're going to get thicker skin. You're going to become more self-aware. There's just so much benefit in failing. And when we speak about Latinos in particular, it's very interesting because what I find is we're like at this state of like an identity crisis. Like, we're American, we're Latino, we're Latina, we're Hispanic, we're, you know, we got all these labels. We've got everything like kind of like forcing us to question who we are, why we are. And as a result, we don't even play the game because we're more afraid of failing than we are actually winning. So we don't even play. We don't even play at all because it's this failure thing that is so like,
it's daunting,
keeping you stuck. Yes,
but I have learned more from my failures than I have ever learned from my successes. My failures have taught me all of my shortcomings, all of the things that I couldn't see in people. They have taught me what bridges are okay to burn and which ones I have to kind of keep and learn how to navigate.
What is one failure you learned from?
So,
imagine a place where you can unwind and relax. IKEA can help you turn your bedroom into a calm oasis. From comfy mattresses to the perfect lights, they've got everything to create your dream bedroom so you can sleep like a baby. And the best part? All at incredible prices. Head to IKEA and grab everything you need. Get ready to rest, dream, and wake up feeling refreshed. Shop today at your local store or at ikea-usa.com/sleep-es and get it delivered straight to your door with their convenient delivery services.
What's up, mi gente? Bet you didn't know that Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You know what's a little less accepted? Taking financial advice from random usernames and avatars you found on some forum. That's just sketchy. No offense to all the finance bros out there on the internet. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
I had a potential sitcom deal with CBS a couple of years ago that everybody always asks about because it was with the guy from King of Queens. Why am I forgetting his name? Kevin James.
Okay.
I was like Kevin Smith. I was going through all the Hollywood Kevins. I was like Kevin Hart, Kevin Smith. No, Kevin James. And so I was very excited about this deal. I was really excited about it and was really looking forward to the whole process. It was really the first time we had gotten past the initial process of just pitching a show to a network actually being like, okay, work on the pilot. We're interested. So I sat and I worked with this wonderful writer, Adam Barr. Shout out to him because I learned a lot from that whole process. And we went for months. I think we went back and forth. There were so many steps between us and the people that could make it happen. So it was like we would write the script and then it would go to the first tier of people and then the second tier of people and then finally the people that could make the show happen. Well, they ended up not picking up the show. And I was devastated. Embarrassed. There were articles written about me working with Kevin James. I had been on his show, Kevin Can Wait. And I remember like just feeling so low. And like, I don't know if I ever want to do this again. Do I ever want to throw my hat in the ring? And the amount of people who are like, you need your own show, you need your own show, you need your own show. Those comments started to sting because it was like, I've been fighting this fight. Like people don't understand, like when you're pitching a show, sometimes you end up pitching 20, 30 different times to different people, different concepts of a show. And it gets exhausting. It gets draining. It gets disappointing. The amount of times people hit a wall. And so here I was, I had hit this wall. And I got a call from a friend of mine, Adam Ferrara, wonderful comedian, amazing human being. Because he had found out about the show. And, in his very, older Italian way, he said, hey, kid, how you holding up? And I said, not good. And he said, it's going to come in waves. It's going to come in waves. And then he told me a story about when his show got canceled or denied and that he was in his apartment for 3 days and didn't want to leave. And we talked it out. And really what he told me that kind of kept me going was to not let this one situation destroy my passion. This one thing can't derail how ambitious you are. You have to kind of alchemize a lot of those feelings back into your ambition. As much as I don't love the idea of haters fuel me, I get it because it really is alchemizing that negative energy. And I had to take all of that negativity and fear of letting people down and that I had failed. I had to take that and alchemize it into, okay, so maybe you don't want a sitcom. What do you want? Is that even what you want? And if that's not what you want, then let's work on what you want. Do you want to produce movies? Do you want to be in movies? Do you want just to have 1 million comedy specials? What do you want? And that situation really turned around after that conversation into what can I alchemize this into? Because I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to walk away. I wasn't ready to go work at FedEx just yet. So I was like, shout out to people at FedEx though. Y'all be really delivering them packages though. But I wasn't ready to bow out. So I really had to say, what can I turn this into that can push me forward? And I think that's an important thing. People, human beings, we alchemize things all the time. We just don't realize we're doing it. But in those tough moments, that's when it's essential for us to go, what can I turn this into?
I think that is the word of the podcast, alchemize.
Alchemize.
That's the word for this episode.
Alchemize. Say it with me.
Alchemize.
¿Puedes decir alchemize? I'm very Dora with my words today.
So let's talk about industry stuff because
Yes.
it's always interesting to me how these specials come about and just the process. So when you said you went to go pitch and they were like, yeah, create the pilot. Who pays for the pilot?
Okay, so that's kind of a complicated thing. It really depends on who and where you're pitching to. At least that's my understanding. We pitched to CBS. Like we went to CBS and we met with people that worked in development. So you would normally meet with people that work in development and they yay or nay the project from start to finish. You do the pitch, they go yay, you go write the script, they get it in their hands, they send back notes, you rewrite it, they send back more notes, you rewrite it as many times.
Okay, but when they say yay, like who's paying for the rewrite? Who's paying for all of that?
It's a combination of, because Sony works with CBS, so it was a combination of Sony Productions and CBS.
Okay.
That were, I believe, handling all of the money in this situation. They were the money people.
Okay.
That we were meeting with constantly.
Okay, got it. Okay. But for your own specials, like for example, the special on Amazon, like how?
That was Amazon and Comedy Dynamics.
Okay.
So Comedy Dynamics, they produced the special. They produced several specials for Amazon. And I think Amazon, basically, they just handpick who they kind of want to work with. And then Comedy Dynamics gets to produce those specials. So both Amazon and Comedy Dynamics get the lion's share of the money that comes into the special. They have to make their money before you see anything on the back end.
Because they're paying for the production.
Because they're paying for the production, which is why so many people are now self-producing. Because when you self-produce the special, yes, it's more on you because you now have to invest in yourself and you have to have the budget to do so. And you have to work it like, some people do a great special for $10,000. Some people do a great special for $8,000. Some people spend $50,000 on a special themselves to produce it because they have that capital. But you're seeing a lot more people now and self-producing their specials because financially it just works out better for them. Even if it may not be the $75K or 100 and something K you might have gotten paid from a Netflix or from an Amazon, in the end, you own the material. You own that special. You can license it to whoever you want. You can sell it yourself. And that's just now become the new wave. Like this special I did with 800 Pound Gorilla was essentially produced with 800
This is your Mind Your
Pound.
Business
Yes.
special.
This one was one that I didn't finance this myself, but I'm working with a company that's very artist friendly. So they walked me through the entire process of this is how much you're going to make, this is how much we're going to make, and this is what you will make after we've made all our money back. And they walked me through that, which was very helpful. And for me, it made me think, well, maybe I want to self-produce my next special. Maybe I really do want to self-produce it now that I have more of an understanding of how all of this works. Because for the most part, the other specials I did were controlled and orchestrated by other people. And I just sat back and sort of blindly trusted that everything was working out and that it was good. And that's not to say anything about who I've worked with in the past, but I would do it differently now, having the knowledge that I have. And I'm still proud of that work. But again, I have different knowledge now that makes me go, oh yeah, I got played. Not because y'all didn't like me or didn't respect me, because that's how the game is. I got played. Like there's no shade to anybody.
Psych.
But I got phone calls that my special, The Floor is Lava, was on like United Airlines flights. And I was like, thank you so much. I don't see a dime of that money. Thank you so much. I don't see any of that money, but I'm so glad you guys, I love the exposure. I'm glad for the exposure. You know, you're grateful for what you're grateful for, but people were hitting me up and I was going, it's just kind of a reminder of, you know, had I had different information, then I probably would have worked out a better deal for myself.
Yeah, not only that, think about all the people who pay for Amazon Prime that get, you know, access to all this content.
And I loved that. Like, that's one of my favorite specials that I've done. I had a wonderful time doing that special. There's always a different experience with each special. And this special that I did recently, Mind Your Business, was a whole different animal to tackle. So I'm very proud of it because it was definitely more work than I've been very hands-on. It was more hands-on than I've ever been with any other special. So I really rolled up my sleeves and got into the grit with this one. So it was good.
I love that. And I love that you went through the experience with Amazon, because if you didn't, you wouldn't know what you didn't know until now.
Yeah.
Tell my clients this all the time. Like, the reason why you hire a coach, the reason why you go through the process is because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what questions to ask for. You don't know what to make sure is included in that contract.
Yeah.
You don't know how much money is market, like what it is at the market value. You don't know what's a premium. You don't know if you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Like, you don't know.
You don't know the questions that you don't know to ask.
Exactly.
And that's what people sometimes get intimidated or ashamed that they might need a coach or some help. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way of, you know, when you act like you know everything, you're bound to drop the ball. Because there's going to be people that see things that you don't see. And a lot of that is ego, and a lot of that is fear of looking a certain way or of handing over too much control to somebody else. But a lot of that is also why people don't advance. Because you can be in the rooms, the right rooms, and not know how to navigate them, and not know what questions to ask, and not know how to sell yourself.
Mm-hmm. Totally. By the way, I just want to circle back and say I'm really happy that you kept going after that CBS experience, because now it got you here for your own special that you had to like really put in the blood, sweat, and tears, which I know made it that much better. And also you have grown such an appreciation, but also I feel like that gives you leverage now if you do go back to a network, because now it's like, I don't need you, you need me kind of vibe. Like you have a little bit of leverage, you know what I mean?
A little bit. I think what I did too, to go back to your point about even coaching and listening to other people for this last special, I worked with my homegirl Catherine, worked with me on the special. And it's hard to put into terms the amount of work that she put into this with me, because really what I think she excels at, and what I think, you know, people that know how to ask the questions excelled at, is that she excelled at challenging me and asking me questions that sort of forced me to think in a different way, even if it was uncomfortable, and to see things differently, even if it wasn't how I would normally do things. And it was hard. It was challenging. But it was worth it in the end. It's like, you know, getting a good trainer. You know, we put in the sweat, and I may have been cursing at you the whole time, but in the end, I'm looking at it going, I came out of it stronger. I came out of it more self-aware and more aware of the world, and looked back at the work and went, damn, I did that. And I'm so thankful for people like her, for the people in you. Be thankful for the people in your life that challenge you in a way that helps you grow. Because if it wasn't for that, I think a lot of the material in the special would have been missed, because I wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, totally. So let's get into the Talk That Talk segment. There's a lot going on in the Cultura right now that needs to change, that is taboo. Since you are in the entertainment industry,
Jeez.
Zoe Saldańa.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the backlash that she is receiving right now?
It's so funny because I had this conversation yesterday, literally. Again, two things can be true. I can fully support the fact that she is a phenomenal actress. She's a great actress, did her thing. And I can also recognize when, you know, girl, you might have been a little tone deaf in some of your responses to things. And maybe that was because you were trying to play it safe. Maybe that was because you were trying not to offend anybody. And sometimes when you're trying not to offend anybody, you end up offending all of the people. But there are certain things that I think sometimes if you don't know what to say, you're better off not saying anything instead of feeling forced to make a comment. And I feel like a lot of the backlash has been because she was asked a very direct question, and she's been asked direct questions in the past and has had answers that are like, that just make you go, I'm sorry, what? What'd you just say? And people, when you're in the public eye, you have to be ready for the criticism that's going to come back at you. And it sucks. It sucks. It sucks when it's one of our own. It sucks when we feel like we have to be like, ugh. Now we have to answer for that. But I also feel like, you know what's funny? And I don't think white people go through this in Hollywood. I don't think anybody goes, oh, well, did you hear what, so-and-so said? And they're like a white actor or something like that, like in an interview. I don't feel like they go through it as much as people of color. When people of color say something that's kind of like, I don't think you really meant to say what you just did or understood what you just said. I think a lot of times for people of color, we're a little bit more under the microscope.
I can agree with that. And to your point about like extending grace, I was actually really disappointed in the community for how they just was tearing her a new asshole. And it's unfortunate because it's like in those moments when it is so much in a public eye, how we go out of our way to just tear her down. Like we built her up because if she didn't win, we would have been complaining about the fact that she didn't win. Right?
Yeah.
But now that she won, right? People are like, oh, she didn't deserve it. She shouldn't have got it, especially for that role. Meanwhile, she fucking slayed that role. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And also now they're weaponizing the comments that she made against her. And I don't really find what she said to be so tone deaf. Maybe you can give me insight since you mentioned tone deaf. Like,
well, yeah.
What was tone deaf about it? Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Yes, it took place in Mexico. Yes, the cartel exists in Mexico. Yes, we know how the cartel moves, right? It's not a safe space. Mm-hmm. Like, they will get you. You know what I mean? So I don't understand when I saw the comments of it wasn't like, a true depiction of what happens in Mexico when it comes to the cartel. And why there was so much controversy around it and why people were so offended if that does exist there. So help me. Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I think it was my understanding that it wasn't so much about the depiction of the cartel, but that the upset was more that she didn't understand why people were getting mad that a movie about something that happened in Mexico about, I believe, a character, a person who existed that was Mexican, and it was directed by some French guy and starring somebody who wasn't Mexican. And I that's how the dissection always works in our culture, is they go, wait a minute. So you made a movie about something that happened in Mexico, but you didn't bother to include people that have knowledge of cultural nuances. And say what you will about it. Like, I can say, I get it. I totally get it. And I'm not saying that I disagree with what you're saying. But there is also some argument to be made of, but the movie got made and it's telling a story. And the story's reaching people and clearly affecting people. And I think that's always been the battle. Gloria Calderon-Kellett, she talks about it all the time. She talks about that battle. I did an interview with her not too long ago where she had talked about the backlash she got for One Day at a Time and different things in that show. And so it is something that I think is so common to, I don't even want to say overly criticize, but borderline.
No, definitely. We overly criticize our own people.
Yeah. Even if it is something that I can sit back and go, no, I get it. I get it. You know, if a movie was made about Puerto Ricans, you know what I mean? Like even when they redid West Side Story.
I was just thinking that.
When they redid West Side Story, Spielberg actually had a friend who was the Puerto Rican consult that they used on set for cultural nuances. Those things, like even him taking that step was a big step. You know, I think he was aware enough to know I'm a white man making a movie that is very close to the hearts of a lot of Puerto Rican people. How can I do this with respect to the culture?
But that's the thing, like what was disrespectful to the culture?
Not
That's
so
what
much
I'm
the movie
missing.
itself, but I think the idea of, did you consult anybody? Was anybody consulted for cultural nuances?
Okay.
Or was this just blanketed as, this is what happens? You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the question. Was anybody really contacted, or did you work with anybody on these cultural nuances?
Or it's a story that maybe does not capture every single thing that goes down in the country.
Yeah.
Right? It was a segment, or it was just a story. It was not meant to be based on facts. It was not meant to be based on, you know, true events. It was a story. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess it aligns to just the heightened sensitivity around diversity, the heightened sensitivity that we have now placed on each other of color, like people of color, like the heightened pressure, the heightened sensitivity, the heightened nuance, just everything about it just seems so unfair.
Yeah. It is.
It's like we want others to respect our diversity, our inclusiveness, our differences, the complexities and the vibrancies. We want them to respect that, but we cannot respect each other in our individual like journeys of trying to explore that.
I think, and this was part of the conversation I had yesterday, is that people seem to internalize this situation one way or the other. Either they internalize it and they harshly criticize her, or they internalize it and they don't want the harsh criticism. There's no middle ground of, can we get constructive and say the things that maybe are uncomfortable and need to be said without coming across like I'm trying to burn this person down or ruin
Yeah,
this
like
person.
at the stake.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And then why isn't she allowed to disagree?
Oh, she's totally allowed to. This is what I tell everybody about the climate we live in now. You can do and say whatever you want, but expect consequences. It's not that she's not allowed to disagree. It's play it out in your head. I will disagree with this and XYZ will happen. Am I okay with XYZ happening?
And this goes back to how we started our conversation around authenticity. So in that moment, she was like, okay, should I be fake? Should I be real?
Should I be fake? Should I be real? And
Right.
how will this be to my detriment?
Or maybe she's like, I don't care.
She could be like, I'm tired of this conversation. I don't want to, like one of my favorite interviews with Bad Bunny about his recent album was he was talking to this guy and he was asking about one of my favorite songs on the album, which is Turista. Nice job.
I know.
BB.
I do like that song.
It's a great
By the
song.
way, I'm going to Puerto Rico to his concert in August. I'm very excited.
Now, I fell in love with this whole album, but in this interview, the interviewer asks him for the 9 millionth time, is this song about gentrification in Puerto Rico? And he literally says, I'm so tired of that question. He goes, you want to know what the song is about? He said, I want people to interpret the song how they need to interpret it. He said, I wrote the song on a day where I happened to be feeling melancholy. Now, I'm paraphrasing the words he was using because he didn't know how to describe really what it was. You know, he was saying sad, but, you know, he was trying to say sad is the word I can use, but that's not what I was feeling. So I'm guessing melancholy, just a little bit of a sadness feeling. And he went to the beach and he was sitting on the beach crying because he was just in this mood. And people were just walking by him, enjoying their life, just oblivious to his tears. And that's kind of where he was inspired to write this song. But just that first part of the interview where he looks at the interview and he's like, I'm so tired of that question, was the realest way he could have answered that question. I'm so tired of this question. How many times do I have to answer the same question? Yes, I'm upset about the gentrification in Puerto Rico. Yes, there are things that are tied to it in this album. But it's not every creative juice that flows in me is not about that. And so I think there is a part of her that may have been tired of the convo or exhausted by it. And maybe that would have been a good time to be like, I'm really tired of getting that question, or I'm really tired of having to justify that or answer that question, or maybe I'm not the person you should be asking this question to. Why do I have to be the one that justifies every single thing? There are several avenues I think she could have taken, and she did what she had to do. If she stayed true to herself, then good for her evermore. You know what I mean? Like, good for you. You said the thing, people got upset. That's gonna happen. It's historically happened with people.
Mm-hmm. It's just so ugly how far we take it. Like, they were just, like, you can disagree and you can say you're upset about something, but it was just so ugly how they were just coming at her. And I can see why so many of us would choose, fuck that. I'm keeping my creativity to myself. I'm not putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking my truth, because guess what? There's no winning.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see how easily somebody could fall into that and be like, why would I take the chance?
Yeah.
When it could really be my own people.
So I don't know if you saw, there was a big fight this past weekend with Davis, and I forget what the other dude's name is, but good fighter. And in his interview, he had said, so basically during the fight, he said he got his hair done. There was grease that fell in his eye, and he took the knee during the fight, and he ran to go get it cleaned up. Mm-hmm. So when he's telling people what happened, because they asked, they were like, yo, you took the knee. That's kind of like a knockout. Like, what are you doing? He's telling the story of what happened, like the grease in the eye. And so the audience started booing him and what he said. And he was the one to win. And everybody loves him. Like, gets everyone hype. He sells out arena. And he was like, you know what? That's the truth. But guess what? Today you hate me. Tomorrow you're going to love me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, boom.
That's a great line. Right, that's a great line. Today you hate me. Tomorrow you're going to love me.
Yeah. And that's just the way that it goes. So Gina, thank you so much for being on Banking on Cultura. This was a dope conversation. Went in ways I didn't anticipate, but that's the beautiful part of doing things organically. So tell the people where they can hear about you, where they can get your specials, where they can follow you, things coming up, all the things.
You can find my special, Mind Your Business, on YouTube. It's doing wonderfully, and I'm very happy about that. You can find me at G Brillon on Instagram, at Gina Brillon on TikTok. Yes, it's really me. Yes, I really respond. Yes, I really like everybody's comments. I get that question all the time.
Girl.
It is really me.
When you get one of those viral videos or something like that, it is a lot of work. I'm like, yo, I need to hire somebody to heart all these comments.
I really feel like people don't understand, because they'll be like...
And then you got to be careful what you heart, because if you heart some shit where they're oh, you're ugly and all this, and you're like,
too. I heart that
shit
too. I heart that shit too. Thank you for the view, boo-boo. Thank you for the views. My views just went up one more person because you decided to stay in hate. Thank you so much. You did your part, baby. You did.
But you know what? I once had a guest that I wanted to have on the show, and there was a controversial clip that was going around we were talking about Dominicans versus Puerto Ricans on the show, and he saw the clip. And originally he was like, yeah, I definitely want to come on your show. I can't wait. Then he saw the clip and he responded with, you know what? I don't think I can go on your show because you liked one of the comments under this clip that I don't really agree with. And I'm thinking, at the time I had a virtual assistant and I gave her the same instruction, like everything, I don't care.
Yeah.
But then this happened and I was like, wait a second, should I be more mindful about what I'm
I let people know I like everything. So just know I like everything. You could say the most ignorant thing. I'll be like, boop, boop. Thank you so much for the watch. Boop, boop. I will immediately block you after, by the way, if you say some negative, nasty. But I'll leave your comment there. I'll leave your comment.
I thought that was so interesting. But
I think that's an interesting take. Also, check out my website, ginabrillon.com, because I have a newsletter, so everybody can sign up. It's a monthly newsletter that will be written by me. So don't ask if it's really me. It is really me. I have to write it every month, and you will get an update from me every month.
Those newsletters, honey, they are literally a labor of love, for sure.
Yeah, they are, because you got to do it.
Maybe I'll do an episode on newsletters, because I was just asking my audience, like, what the hell you find valuable? What do you want me to put in this newsletter? Because
I'll be putting whatever I want. So you really got to rock with me. You really got to rock with me. It's going to be a, hey, how you doing? What's up? It might be a poem. I might hit you with something you ain't never heard from me before.
I love it.
But it will be me, all me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, hermana. I am so happy for all of your success.
Thank you.
Everybody, make sure you go out and support. Watch the YouTube special. Go on Amazon. Watch that special.
Yes.
And just get into your world, because not only is she a comedian and just has so many layers to herself, but she's a poet. She's really deep, as you can tell, given our conversation. Like there's a lot of things beyond the surface, which I love and appreciate about you. So definitely make sure you check her out. And of course, thank you for tuning in to Banking on Cultura, and I'll see you on the next episode. Ciao!
Mi gente, did you enjoy this episode? Are you loving Banking on Cultura? Make sure to subscribe and follow us. Our goal is to grow this community so that we can all embrace our Latinidad, secure the big bag, and never question our cultura ever again. Please also take a moment to leave us a review. I love reading your reviews. Let me know what you are thinking, what guests we should have on, and if there are any topics you would like me to cover. I appreciate you so much for being here. Te amo mucho, and I'll check you out in the next episode.